to the cloud. And you're good to go. Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you very much for having us. It is as we just said, it's I'm in Auckland in New Zealand. So if I speak a bit odd, that's because I'm a Kiwi. Yeah, so it's actually nearly midday on Sunday for me. After this, I'm off to take my kids sailing. So I'll just kick off. Yeah, my name is Nick Olson. I'm the marketing manager at Predictwind.
And Nick, Nick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but what time is it there?
It is 11 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Excellent. Thank you very much for everything. I will shut up now and pause my mute. Thanks.
All good. Yeah, I'm the marketing manager, and but I'm a sailor. So everyone that works in at least the front end of Predictwind, we're all sailors. Some of my colleagues are ex-Volvo Ocean Race sailors. My boss John, who created Predictwind, he used to be the weatherman for Alingi for all of their America's Cup challenges. He's a Kiwi as well. And but yeah, so work with some really great people. And if you ever contact Predictwind, they're the people that you're going to talk to. You know, you might talk to one of them and they'll be like, oh yeah, no, I've done a couple of laps of the planet or whatever. So you know, feel free to ask them questions. So a little bit about Predictwind. It's been around for about 12 years, I think. I've been there for about 6. And we are mainly based out of New Zealand. We do have some stuff in Australia and in France. But we definitely have a lot of contact all around the world. And the US is our biggest market. So that's you know, you are all very important to us. And yeah, so what do we do? Our goal is to provide the best and most accurate weather data to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And we do, we spend a lot of time on working on that delivery. So whether that's interface or whether it's satellite connectivity or SSB connectivity, yeah, we have, you know, or when you're just cruising along the coast or just going for a day sail, we have an application for pretty much any situation. We do focus on the marine market. We are a marine weather company, and primarily sailing, mainly because we're all sailors. So yeah, excuse me, just waking up really, Sunday morning. So I'll flick over to a screen and we'll start at the beginning. I'll just talk a little bit about Predictwind, what we do, and the software we have. And then I'm going to talk about things that we're either just doing right now or that we are about to release. And anyone that's used Predictwind this week will probably have noticed a couple of little changes already, depending how closely you're looking. So I will just screen share here. So this is the Predictwind website that tells you about everything we have, and you'll see here that we have a list of the weather models we currently have. So this needs to be updated because one of the changes we made this week was we added in 2 new forecast models. I'll talk about them a bit more later, but you'll see here the PWG and the PWE. They are weather models that we run ourselves. We use Amazon World Service to get enough computing power to do that. We do that twice a day, the same as what GFS and ECMWF do. Well, actually, GFS do more, but we do that because it gives us we have some very good high resolution modeling. So the PWG and the PWE, we run them at a global scale. and then we run them at 8 kilometer and then 1 kilometer resolution. And it's, yeah, they're very good. And we do that because we have a lot of coastal sailors, and if, a higher resolution model will pick up more, sea breezes and land effects and all sorts of other changes. I won't go too much into that at the moment because I want to talk more about models later. So yeah, we also have obviously we have atmospheric and then we have ocean data. So we do have our wave models and the ECMWF wave model. ECMWF wave model is the very best wave model out there. It's higher resolution than what anyone else does, and it is a very clever model. It is there is no better model than the ECMWF out there for wave data, for sure. I mean, the ECMWF is also considered the #1 model for atmospheric modeling on a global scale. So we have ocean and tidal currents as well, really important for off the east coast of the US. Obviously with the Gulf Stream there, we have 3 different models there, so that you can actually, if you have a look at those, you can compare them and see where the Gulf Stream is. I'll flick over to the screen here. So I heard a little bit of the previous speaker, and just at the end there, and he mentioned Chris Parker, and so we are probably the other end of the scale. So Chris Parker is person there that's possibly providing you with personalized information or a generalized picture. We are there. Our goal is to give you the tools so that you can make all those decisions yourself. Sometimes it's a lot easier if you can see what even if you are using a router like that, for instance, it's a lot easier if you could listen to them and you can have a look at something like what we have, and possibly learn from what they're saying, and also make your own decisions. And there's a lot of things that can't be covered by someone either doing a generalized forecast or even a personalized route. I've heard all sorts of stories. So having these tools available to you is what our goal is. So having the best weather data, and then having really good tools for you to be able to use that weather data to make the best decisions. So we have the Predictwind app and website. So that is when you are anywhere where there is Wi-Fi cell coverage. It is, I use it every day. My wife even uses it to see whether the washing's going out today or what she's going to wear. So it definitely covers a lot of bases there. It's an amazing little app, and you can also use that on the website. So that's for any time you're, not going out of cell coverage, basically. It has, we'll look at it a bit more. We'll look at the website a bit more later, but a huge host of things in there. Actually, we'll talk about that later. So the Offshore app. So this is what we do if anytime we're going out of cell phone coverage. It'll save all the data offline. It's designed to work with satellite and SSB. You get grid files on it, you get weather routing on it, GMDSS, satellite imagery. So the grid files are where you get your weather images or your ocean data or whatever it is you want. And also the weather routing tool, so the optimized weather routing, so which we'll have a brief look at later. But yeah, there's obviously thousands of people around the world sailing at the moment using that particular piece of software. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke to the sailors doing the Vendée Globe, and there's about half of them are using it as well. I mean, it's not. It's actually, our software is probably more geared towards cruising sailors, and we have put some racing features in there for them, but it's not as complex as some of the other racing based software out there. But our weather router is very, very good, and in fact, yeah, we've sort of proven that that's better than any of the other tools out there, so far as for those sailors being able to find optimized routes. But the other thing that we have is better weather data than what you're able to get anywhere else. So that's pretty important to them. So let's move on. So what I wanted to talk about, so let's talk about some new things that we have and or are doing. So one of these things is new weather models, and I'll just move my little thing there out the way. Hopefully you can all see that. So you see here, I have two weather maps. They look pretty similar if we just scroll through, but you'll see some slight differences there. Okay, so what we're looking at here is we are looking at the UKMO weather model from the UK Met Office. And then over here, we are looking at the SPY model. What have I done? Oh, I've gone out of time. Let's move my mouse away from there. So these are two weather models that we've added in the last week. We spent a lot of time looking at and analyzing and doing validation studies on these weather models. So far as global weather models go, ECMWF is always considered the number one. You guys, you know, in the US, you will see or hear that, you know, when you have hurricanes coming, you often hear the news media talking about the Euro model. That's what they're talking about, is the ECMWF, which we also have here. And so that's sort of the gold standard. And so we had the ECMWF, we had the GFS, and we had our models. And we just really wanted to, on that global scale, to really see, you know, add in something that's unique and better. And so that was where the UKMO comes in. The UKMO is considered the number 2 global weather model. Yeah, sorry, but the GFS is a wee way down the heap there. So now we've got ECMWF and we've got UKMO, and then over here you'll see Spire. Now Spire is, I'm going to toggle that screen off. Spire is really, really cool. So there's actually going to be a webinar later next week with a Spire meteorologist, one of our meteorologists, and myself. And I'm at UKMO, I want to go to Spire because we're talking about Spire. So Spire is a private company. They have a nano satellite network, the largest nano satellite network in the world for weather. And they have 100 satellites orbiting the globe. And what these satellites are doing is they are firing radio beams across the atmosphere, and the refraction, they're measuring the refraction in the atmosphere, and they're getting a bunch of weather, without going too far into that, they're getting a bunch of weather readings from that data, and they feed that data into their model. Why is this of interest to us and to you? Is because they have full global coverage, so they're getting everywhere on the globe. They have the same data set. That can't be said for other weather models and the way that it's traditionally done. So what these guys are doing is different. So they have the full atmospheric range in the model, and so they've got the full range and they've got full global coverage, and it's timely. Like, so they're, you know, some of the data going to the model is only an hour old. So other weather models, they to get the initial conditions to run it. They, they're collecting ship data, plane data, and they do have satellite data, but the satellite data is only at the surface. It's not all through the atmosphere. So these guys do have other data going into the model as well, but they have this huge data set that they're feeding in to their model. So what makes that really important for sailors is that it means that all these places that you're sailing all over the ocean, wherever you are, they've got data feeding into their model. And data is really important when it comes to weather modeling, and having that full data set means that they can get a more complete picture. Anyway, if you want to learn more about that, because it took me a little while to get my head around it. It's very fascinating, and what they're doing with it, and it's unique, and it's very good. So that's probably the last thing I should say about it. Is we did a validation study with Spire and UKMO and ECMWF and GFS, and out on the ocean against all the weather buoys, Spire was actually more accurate for wind speed and direction than ECMWF. So ECMWF was second, UKMO and ECMWF were actually very similar, and GFS was a pretty distant fourth. So that data is on our website if you want to have a look, and the whole validation study is there. Anyway, very cool. If you're doing any ocean crossings, it's just another tool that you've got there, another piece of data, and you can have more confidence in the forecast by seeing that all these models are agreeing, or if they're not, why aren't they? So while we're and so I've mentioned before that there's a lot of information in the let's just zoom in. A lot of information in these apps. Yes, there is. And what you would have noticed there is should be changing. The resolution's changing on this map. When I zoom in, we're getting into high resolution. And but we've got gust maps, we've got wave maps, we've got rain maps, isobar maps, air temp, forecast tables. And so you see here we've got 6 weather models. Some people might go, oh, well, what are you doing to me? How do I know which one to follow? I personally love it, but I'm a weather geek. So, but if you don't, you can collapse all these up, and it's averaging out the models. It's removing outliers. So it's doing a bit of a calculation there, but giving you a much more simple view of everything if you want to. You can see how I have everything open because that's what I like doing it. But you can actually make this data a lot more simple as well. Something else that we have there for those that don't want to look at huge amounts of data, they just want the sort of the boiled down version. We have a thing here called the daily briefing, which was created by my boss John. When he was taking his daughters sailing, he would ask them what the forecast is, and both of them would tell him different things, and both of those different things were different things to how he read it. So we set to work on this and created what we call the daily briefing, which is really cool. There's guys at Team New Zealand that will read this in the morning and go in and tell their weather guy what they think the weather's going to do. So we're in the forecast website here. Observations is something we've been doing a lot of work on lately, adding in more observations around the world, adding in buoy data. So if we zoom in more, we should see more observation points. Righty ho, let's move on to the next thing. So an area where we have and are doing a lot of work at the moment is our weather routing. The weather routing that we do is a bit of a cornerstone of Predictwind, and something that we've sort of focused on more as time's gone on. You'll see here, if I zoom on this map, I have all the Vendée Globe boats loaded on my map. because I'm following that pretty closely. And as I mentioned earlier, we have some people in the race using it. What's happening with weather routing? So we updated our algorithm so that it's more, it can find better routes, safer routes. There's a lot of controls that you could have in there. But what is coming with the weather route, you can see here that we've got 4 models on here. Soon there will be 6, and you might be, why do we need them? Well, we need them because we want to see consistency. And as you can see here, we have these guys are about to hit the trade winds. So, but obviously very consistent, even as I animate that through, the speeds of the boats aren't much different either between each model. And so what we know there is that all the weather models agree. And so we've got a really high confidence that this is what's going to happen. I mean, obviously trade winds. But, when they get down here, when they come down to, they look like they might sneak through there quite nicely, actually, through the convergence zone, through the doldrums there. And but what we've added, we've updated our algorithm, which makes it better. There's a bunch of tools that you can, things that you can use in there. You can add comfort settings and all sorts of things. But where I'm getting to is that we're actually going to add a new thing in that we call corridors. And what corridors are going to do is if these routes are moving apart at some stage, let's go further down here, where these routes move apart, it's going to show, and it's going to have a shaded area around the route. And what the shaded area will mean, if it's wide, it's going to mean that you can go anywhere within that area and it doesn't make a great difference to your route. If it's really close, if the corridor is really narrow, that means that the router really wants you to go through that part because it's important, and it's going to affect what you do a lot. So what we're trying to do there, anyone that has used Predictwind before, you will know that we have used to have dots on the route. We've taken the dots out because we don't want people following dots when they're weather routing. We want you to sail your boat. We want you to think about why the weather route wants you to go that way, to understand what's going on, and make your decisions based on based on analyzing the information. As I said at the start, it's all about having this toolbox. And we've got a lot of tools in the toolbox, which I can't really cover off today. But you'll notice in maybe in the next week or two, you're going to see these corridors start appearing on there, and we will do quite a bit of talking about that and why that's important. Just so that people understand, the Predictwind weather router, you click calculate or download on if you're in the Offshore App, and it sends this little piece of data off to our servers, and our servers calculate your weather route. So we use your polars, which is your boat speed, and we say, oh, yep, it's Nick and he's here, and we calculate that on our servers, and then we send it back to you. And the reason we do it that way is it means that we can use a huge bunch of data to calculate your weather route. There's over 1 billion calculations goes into creating a weather route, and all of that happening on our servers means that if you're on an SSB or a satellite connection, that you only need to send a tiny file to our servers, and the servers send a tiny file back, which is pretty critical on most offshore connections. Just see how we're going for time. Cool. So let's keep moving on. Move this over here. Okay, so another new thing that that we are doing is we have created a feature called local knowledge, and what this is it's I think we're going to release it later this month. It's going to be a soft release. The actual main release will be next year. And so, but you all know about it now. What it does, it is everything from marinas, fishing spots, kite surfing spots. There's passage notes. There's, let's have a look in here. So I could add, you can put in passages, dive spots, customs clearance. A lot of the stuff has been added, but what we because we wanted to, hurricane hole. What we wanted to do was we wanted to add a good amount of information in there so that people can, it's useful from day one. But the idea after that is that it does become a community-based feature where people will add information themselves. So, your favorite, your favorite anchorage or whatever it is that you want to share. So you can share that publicly, or you could share it with your friends. So you could, you might just share, you might have a group of friends that you share your fishing spots with, or, or your favorite anchorages. So you see, if I zoom out, you can see that we've been pretty busy. These little dots here on the ocean, these are boats. These are people that are actually at sea doing crossing. Let's have a click on one, eh? Oops. Well done. I've over zoomed. Can I click on them? Should be able to click on them. Anyway. So yeah, local knowledge. It's oh, that's what I should show you. How do I do that? No. If I go into a spot here, this is actually something that's really cool. I'll zoom in. Where's a spot that we want to talk about? What it's going to have in there is, let's say you were going to any location, whether it was you were looking to go there in a couple of months' time, or or next month, and you wanted to know what the weather might be like. We have seasonal averages in there. So we've got, I think it's 5-year and 30-year seasonal averages in there. So for any of these spots, you have, it's predominantly from the southwest in that period, and all that sort of thing. So as I said, this will be out pretty soon. And let's have a look at that if I can. And it's going to be out pretty soon, and it's going to be available to everyone, and you're going to be able to put all your stuff in there. And oh, look at that sailing totem. So it's an anchorage, and the data's not in there for the wind protection yet, but so you could add your anchorage, and you could say, well, it's good from these directions, and then you'll see here we have the averages for that location. It's pretty cool. Anyhow, let's move on. So just is something that we do now is our tracking. I'm not sure whether many of you have looked at it before, but it's something that our offshore sailors really like, even coastal passages, and something that, it's pretty cool. It's really nice for people to be able to see where you are, what you're doing. And over here, you can add a blog post. And so anyone can read this. This is your public page. And there's all these posts. And you can add photos to it. So it can be a real sort of journal of your trip. And there's some new features coming to this as well. And probably more importantly, and I'll flick over, and I know that you guys are friends with Salty Dog, because because I know that because I can talk to some of you with who are involved with both organisations. Anyway, so this is something that would be great to see more of in the 7Cs page. We do have I know that there's a lot of 7Cs members, you know, cruising around the world. We did actually set up a page, but we've never it's never really a lot's happened with it. But potentially you could have all the 7Cs members doing offshore trips on this page. Why do I want to talk about this is obviously this is the Salty Dog Fall Rally. And I just wanted to demonstrate what's going on here. So we can click on this boat and we can see where they are, what their course is, and their average speed over the last hour. And it's pretty cool for organizations to see where people are. But what is going to happen with this, and one of the reasons I'm talking about it, aside from the fact that it's a nice thing, is that we are adding a chat function to this. So anybody that is in the rally, you would be able to chat with other people at sea. And so this is the same if you were doing a crossing and you had a buddy boat, you were going together. You would be able to just chat with them over satellite or SSB using the Predictwind Offshore App, which is pretty nice. You know, to be able to communicate with them in that way, or to be able to communicate with a group. So you can make any group. If you're in a rally, you can see that group. Yeah, pretty cool. So just while we're talking about that, I will come over here and I will stop sharing and I will flick over to another screen here just so I can talk about that a little bit more. You'll see here, this is actually just a, this is a boat that I sail on. That's where I sailed around the North Island two-handed earlier this year before COVID came and found us. But this is we're in the Predictwind Offshore App. I can get all of this information via satellite, or SSB. So I can see here, I've clicked on, which boat am I looking at? I'm looking at CISO because it's highlighted. Anyway, there's just a whole lot of test posts in here, but I can see that same information. I can see their blog posts in there. There's going to be another tab over here, and it is going to show, it's going to say chat. And so anybody that I've got in my group here, I would be able to see the chat between the other boats and anything that I've added as well. So when's that coming? Next year sometime. I think it was meant to be this year, but I think the weather routing stuff really got in front of that. So that's pretty much a quick rundown of what I think we have. I don't think I've missed anything too big that's coming up. You will hear a lot about the weather routing later well, it'll be tomorrow for you guys. You'll hear about the new models. Something else that I should add about new models, so that is relevant to all of you, is that we are adding in we've added in these two new global models, which are really awesome. And so we are locally, we are adding in the NAM model, and we are also adding in the rapid refresh, so the HRRR, which is good for all of you, because it's obviously the US, it covers all of the North America. So when are they coming? Next week, I think. So yeah, some more high quality weather data there. And yeah, and I guess probably in saying that, I should mention that, yeah, you might be like, oh, you've got lots of weather models. We're not really out there to just add weather models in. We do a lot of thought and consideration before we add any weather models. And we could add hundreds of models if we wanted to, but we only really want to add the very best high quality ones. So I think that's pretty much that. Unless there's any questions, I can see a Q&A here. Cool. Just a not very nice message. Thank you.
This is Ed, and I see that there's a lot of fans that you have from our group. And Sue and I have used you back 5 years ago, or whatever time it was, 6 years, 4 years ago in Europe, and then coming back across. And you folks just keep adding and adding to the value of having Predictwinds. And it's really a great product.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely something that we are trying to do, is to make it better. We're not sort of, trying to go, oh, well, it's pretty good. We definitely want to be, probably in the we want it to be the best product that it can be. We want it to be super useful for people. So it's pretty relentless. John Bilger, who owns the company, is he's a former Olympian and been in the America's Cup. He's very driven and very applies that to business as well. So he definitely keeps us all on our toes.
Thank you very, very much for the fabulous presentation. We're very, very grateful for your taking your time and effort in coming and sharing this with all of our members internationally. And we're going to put these online.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we've been doing quite a few webinars lately as well. And so if you want to have a look at any of the, we did one talking about Atlantic crossings last week. So if anyone wants to have a look at the Predictwind webinars, there's a bunch there. And I guess the last thing I'd like to say is thanks to 7Cs for giving us this opportunity. And it's a real pleasure. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your support for 7Cs Cruising Association. Your organization has been just fabulous, and we want to support you too. William Rode had asked a question. He asked, was he right in understanding everything depends on reasonable internet connection? And you might want to touch on that. And he asked if there was anything usable via satellite or partnering with SiriusXM Marine. We have used SiriusXM Marine, and they basically just handle the footprint off of the North America. So I don't know if that's something that's applicable, but I don't know if you want to touch on
that. Yeah, so I'll answer the first part first. So there's different, and that's probably why I mentioned it at the start, is there's two very distinct pieces of software we offer. So there is the Predictwind app and there is the Offshore App. The Offshore App is designed to work with satellite and SSB. So that piece of software is, that's what you use when you're on, if you wanted to do anytime you go out of Wi-Fi connection, that will talk to basically any satellite connection. And if you can add attachments on your SSB unit via email, then you can get weather on that as well. So
what is your most popular product to use with it for someone that is just starting out and hasn't used it before and planning to go offshore?
So we have a lot of information around that, but we sell the Iridium Go. I'd sort of and I've actually got one here in front of me. So this is a great little unit. We've been using it for almost as long as I've been at Predictwind. Why do we use it? We use it because it is affordable. For $1,000, you can have this and the external antenna, and you can, that gives you can download weather. Obviously you need an airtime connection as well, but you can get your weather, you can get email, you can do voice, you can do SMS, but the beauty of why we like it is that it's the only satellite device that has an all-you-can-eat airtime plan. So why is that important to us? Is because we want you to get weather. We want you to get weather at least twice a day after the weather models have updated, so that you're always getting the latest weather. You're always thinking about it. You're not going to leave it for 3 days and go, whoa, look at that over there, all of a sudden, you know, and get caught out. You know, being able to not think about using your satellite, you know, running up a huge bill is one of the big things that we like about it, that you can just have that unlimited data connection and get weather. And so, yeah, that's definitely what we recommend. You know, maybe in a few years' time, it'll be a different space, but everything that we, you know, we pay pretty close attention to, you know, the likes of what Elon Musk is doing. And it definitely, whilst he tweets things, the technical side of it, from what we've seen from talking to different experts, it's maybe not as close as his tweets suggest. But we definitely watch that space very closely. But you know, this sort of thing is here now. It does the job, and I don't see it going out of date anytime soon. So yeah, that's what we recommend, and yeah, and it's a lot of people use them, a huge number. So
well, it's a lifesaver to have your technology in our hands, and things that no one in the past ever had that capability, no matter if they were the richest person in the world or king, queen, president.
Yes.
It didn't matter. Thank you.
That's the thing. There is no excuse to get caught out. You know, like if you're not sailing to a schedule, you know, if you're planning if you're looking at the weather and you're making you plan to leave at the right time, and you're continually getting updates with your weather, you know, the data that you can get offshore with something like this is the very best that you can get. And there's not a lot of excuses for getting caught out in bad weather, other than not using the tools.
Thank you very, very much, Nick. We really are so grateful for your helping all of our members and those that follow SSCA. Thank you again.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm going to go sailing.
Have a great day.